You'll hear anyway. Probably known through his books, which we have in the school store, by the way, and a record that he made a while ago. Hint, hint. Let me see. He's probably influenced a lot of guitar players that teach you here at this school. I won't talk a lot. I'll let him play. He's probably going to play a little bit and do a bit of a clinic kind of thing. If you have questions you can ask, or if you want him to play more, just tell him.
Probably in reverse order. Talk to him first.
Talk first, then play. I have just a personal suggestion for you. After you've seen the clinic, watch the video lots of times, because you'll see lots of things you didn't notice the first time. It'll surprise you. Just to give you an idea of Ted's wide appeal, I interviewed Steve Vai about a month ago, and he went wild when he heard Ted Greene was going to come here. He couldn't make it tonight because he's out of town or something, but excited about it. Better things to do. I don't know. Okay, give Ted Greene a warm welcome, please.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Let's get used to this microphone. Oh, you got to talk kind of loudly. You got to push your voice into this. Whoa. I guess I'm a little surprised. I thought that a lot of people would have guitars, like out, like we were going to do a workshop or something. I guess this is going to be a little different. But we'll still talk a lot about guitar, and we'll do some playing. Take a couple of breaks so it's not too interminable, whatever the word is. Kirk? Will this mic pick up if I'm about back in this range, you think? Is it going to get some signal? Good. I thought I would talk to you about keys first. Like what it means to be in a key. Because people come to me for instructions sometimes, and they say, yeah, I'm working on my modes. It's interesting that they use the word my modes, and we talk about it, they'll say, oh yeah, I'm working on Dorian or something, and I say, what is that? And it's like the 2 chord of a major scale. And I say, oh, okay, why are you working on that? And they say, well, they think they're supposed to. And I say, well, that's fine. Why is it a mode? And then we go round and round for a while usually, and find out it's just a sound. Just like every kind of key that you can play in is just an equal partner in the harmonic rainbow. And I was like, this is Dorian to me. This is one shade of Dorian. Why is that Dorian? Does anybody want to tell me why that sounds like Dorian? Like if you were in the car and you heard it, how would you know it's Dorian? How would we know we're in a Dorian key instead of a Fractolian key or something, How about we'd hear the bright sound of the chord other than the tonic chord? Like, we got a tonic chord here, a minor chord, right? A minor. But instead of being dark, the next chord, like that's kind of a beautiful dark chord. This is a little less dark. The reason is that it's using the note that makes Dorian sound a little different than a few other scales, like this note. Yeah, that's right. The raised 6 or the major 6 or the large 6 instead of so it's a D major chord instead of a D minor. Well, I don't know. I think all this stuff's important. not to be intellectual about it. That doesn't count for beans with me, because I just want to play guitar. But when you end up teaching for a living, as I do, then you have to try to explain things, and it's good to know why things sound differently. So that's probably why a lot of you are here too, is to understand music better, at least part of the reason you're here. I don't mean tonight in this clinic, but I mean at the school. So if we do this, what kind of key are we in now? How about Aeolian? Because we have that. Instead of that stuff is really good for shading differences. So when you're in A minor, we're just using A minor as a reference key. Anytime you hear the F major 7, it doesn't sound depressing because it's a kind of a brighter chord, of course, major chord. But this note, if you put it in a D minor chord, now, I don't get depressed over music anyway. I hope you people don't. I don't care how sad the notes are. I'm not depressed. I might be wanting to leave certain buildings at certain times, but it won't be because of depression, usually. This doesn't sound depressing to me. I understand that, like in films, they'll use sounds like these for sad moments. But it doesn't make me feel sad. It just makes me feel strong feelings. I don't know what they are. I shouldn't make light of it, but this is supposed to be a sad note, a real sad note. We're not talking in the Branford Marsalis, as in, boy, that's sad, man. I don't mean it that way. Just, as minor is supposed to be sad too, this is starting to sound sad compared to what I was playing before. We got that same F note in the key of A minor, but now it's part of D minor 6. D minor 6/9. Chord of mystery. To me, maybe I've seen too many videos, TV. It doesn't make me feel sad, you know. Major's happy and minor's sad. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it. There's that F sharp. He's sneaking back in. How come? Why? Because it's fun to play him. But you're leaving the key. No, we're just leaving the diatonic framework. We all know that we're in the key of A minor if we hear lines. No, it's just all part of A minors, no problem. They're just all different notes in the key center. So it's not diatonic anymore in the strict sense of one scale generating the harmony, but that doesn't really matter, you know. I mean, just another option. It matters. I shouldn't put it that way. I'd say it's just fine. How's that? I mean, both things are good. And, if we're in A minor and we hear kind of on the dark side, not meaning bad, again, just darker compared to, there's that note again. It really jumps out how much difference happens when you play. Now let's talk about what we used to call Oliver Nelson voicings years ago, because he was one of the first cats to kind of put them in records and stuff. He would voice horns like in 4 parts, real close together, but he would use hip chords. He wouldn't just play straight colors like dominant sevens and stuff too much. Boy, you can speak a lot of stuff about close harmony chords, but just for the moment, for an A minor, if you vamp to a chord like this, our ears say that we're in the key still. We're just on like a 5 chord. I think many of you know that just by hearing it. Now, the one note that we'd be real surprised to be playing in A minor at that moment, I would think would be what? If we're really in A minor. Anybody? C sharp, right. But here that baby is. She's hiding here because she likes to get in from out of the cold and join the party. She's there. So what I'm speaking about here is buried dissonance or buried surprise notes. I mean, don't think any notes are bad or out of the key. Maybe you don't anyway. Since I don't know all of you, but since I've been doing this teaching gig since '64, you meet a lot of people and you see that a lot of people are full of knowledge, rules they've learned and precepts, concepts, and it's usually all good stuff. It's just it can inhibit you sometimes from seeing the picture that everything's in the key, everything's in every key. Does that mean A minor? I don't know. We don't hear a center. Key means the center. If you do this is a lot of fun. I like doing this. But obviously we're not in the key of A minor anymore. I don't think we're in B flat minor either. It's no key, obviously, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just an effect. There's that chord with the C sharp in it. Now, if we put that baby on top of it, if we go, for some ears, that's not going to sound as congruent in A minor if you're expecting here. On how you hear. I've gotten used to it, but if this note troubles you, or if any note, that what I'm trying to convey here and not doing the most concise job of is, if any note troubles you in any kind of key, bury it inside the chord, you know? Like take this thing, put it somewhere where it's not in the soprano, because we tend to hear soprano the most. I don't know if anybody's noticed the trend in the last, I don't know, let's say 15 years to add 11 chords. Add 11 chords. They're like all over the place now, you know, candy bar commercials, unmentionables, just everywhere, you know? I mean, used to be you couldn't play those notes together, you know? Certainly producers didn't like it. We all like it now, I think. People like it now. I don't know if a lot of you know that in the old days, when this is how music sounded somewhat, they didn't even have yellow, I don't think, man. I mean, at one time, you know. There'd have to be truth to that, because in the caves, how would they, you know? But, I mean, way after caves, but way before Albert King, somewhere in the middle there was, you know, stuff like that. That was music. And, you know, they fought over the rest of the notes. They did. No, they really did. Try not to spit on the mic, man. They really didn't know what else to add without having full-scale conflagrations break out, you know? I mean, people wearing silk were upset with people who weren't for playing things like, you know, it was called a licentious note. The third, people were actually killed. And if they'd had firearms, they would have been shot over it. It really was one of those bad times in history where we proved that we have a lot of growing to do, you know? People, that is. So if we could fight over the inclusion of a note like this, I mean, mankind as a whole, then it's no shock that we're still going to have trouble with some other notes. Like right now, we're not all including these notes as our normal thing, I would say. Just to use one example, it's just the Texas tornadoes, Guns N' Roses. No, it's just not happening yet. And it's probably never gonna, because that's the only interval not in the overtone series, as a man named Spud Murphy wisely noted once. And it's the octave plus a half step. That's the most troublesome interval to work with harmony-wise. Obviously, I'm free associating up here. I don't know how else to live, so you'll hopefully put up with it for a while longer. I promise to play a few notes together too. But anyway, yeah, this interval's a problem, and you maybe have noticed it. If you just play that too much, you know, you can clear out a building real fast. or get the club owner to pay you, actually, you know. I don't think so. No. It's a funny interval. It needs help. This isn't supposed to be funny. I don't know why it's coming out that way, but it's fine. I'm having a good time too. This doesn't sound right to most of us. We need to make it sound like functional harmony. If you play, you establish a key. Okay, so we're in, say, B. So that's old style harmony. Old style mean like a few decades, 50s, 60s voicings. So people don't even play that kind of stuff too much, or as much, shall we say, as lingering chords you just want to linger on. Yet it's not offensive anymore. It's not like strange, and because it's got other notes to soften it. But if you hit any intervals when you're doing your harmonizing songs and things that really sound bad, the likelihood is that there are other notes that can be added to make it better if you're not aware of that. Don't give up on it. What I mean by that too is there's a strategy where you harmonize a song by just say adding a bass line first to the melody. Gosh, what's a melody we could do it with? An old tune. We better not put it in that key for you people. How about F? You take that and maybe just add a bass that goes. We're just walking down the key by doing that. That's no problem to understand, I hope. When I say the key, I mean a diatonic major key, of course, if you don't know there. By the way, on our breaks, if anybody's troubled by things I'm saying and needs to ask me questions, please do. Or if you can't stand it, like during is fine too. You can shoot your hands up and we'll converse. I don't have to just give a speech up here. We can interact, that'd be fine with me. I like it, actually. You may have to scream and get my attention, but that's okay too. So yeah, we can add a bass part, but anyway, if you should hit funny intervals along the way, like there's one. I hope somebody knows somebody's getting married pretty soon if they want to. There's that interval. It doesn't sound too weird because we hear the continuity of a key. So most people aren't going to bolt on that, but if you play it slow and listen to it, it's pretty tense. So major 7 with 7 in the bass. That sounds pretty acceptable in a case like that. When you hear all those lines people play. Now the interval's buried inside. It's not in soprano anymore. We're doing that. There was a tune in the 60s based on a Bach thing. It went. Something like that. Major 7 in the bass. Bass is definitely generating the harmony. That's not the right chord. I like this Bach type harmony. It's all in a major scale. I mean, most of it anyway. If you want to get more into that kind of harmony, you play around with 2 voices at first. Maybe on the top 2 strings is a great place to start sometimes. Say we're in the key of A here. I'm just thinking of chords, implied chords. That's what Bach teaches us that. His music is about chord tones that are stitched together with either scale tones or chromatics, and the genius is that there are motifs binding it all together, themes in most cases. And that's a staggering thing, that he's got themes as well. But if somebody wrote in a similar style but didn't use actual themes, they could still get the effect of the harmonic environment of a Bach if they knew his harmonic vocabulary, if they just concentrated on chord tones and stitched them together in certain easy kind of ways, frankly. But to write that genius counterpoint and have themes too at the same time, that's another staggering thing. But when you hear themes like, not themes, pardon me, but chord tones like, those are all chords. Gets into a kind of a neo-Baroque thing where sometimes I don't try to be totally authentic when I'm playing this music because A, I'm not capable of it. I just can't do it very well. Because I'm moving parallel fifths and stuff, you're not supposed to do that. And B, I just want to create that environment of that kind of harmony sometimes. A guy like Bach is a good place to start if you're looking to study a real deep level of diatonic harmony. Just again, where we began the discussion about keys generated by scales, the chords of scales. All these notes are right in the scale, but they imply chords. Yet there's little melodies in there. Minor keys, we're back to that. just trying to improvise some stuff based on the basic chords of the key, which are the 1, 4, and 5. That's one of Bach's favorite tricks, is to use the 3 main pillars of the key to generate everything. He'll go into that zone for a while, a lot. I promised myself tonight, before I showed up, that I would talk to you about this harmony of Bach, so we're in it now, but we may have to have a lot of feedback from you folks too, so I know what people don't understand that I'm saying, because I sure don't want to confuse you. Let's take a key that's easy to think in. Let's take, I don't know, let's go to D minor. So if you're going to try to study the harmony of a giant cat like Bach, and by the way, the root movements of Bach, when he's doing other devices like Cycle 4, those are just like those old standard tunes, you know. I should face this way a little bit too. Those things are, you know, like you take a tune like Autumn Leaves. These kind of progressions, these things have been around for a long time. It's still the same stuff. It's like D7 leading into G minor. So anyway, if you want to establish the harmony of a key like a giant of the nature of Bach's kind of stature, you got to understand his conceptual thinking, and his favorite way to outline a key is to give you massive doses of the basic chords, but he's got so many voicings and so many ways of just implying the chords by playing 2 notes or 3 notes that you have tons of variety that lasted a lifetime for him. Don't think I can, but I'm sure going to give it a go, man. Since you asked, I like the challenge. Fresh-sounding key here. That's a personal problem of mine. I can't stay in one key for a long time sometimes. It doesn't sound good to me. It starts to lose its charm. Hope it's not a sad commentary on the other areas of my life. Actually, we know the truth. I've lived in this body for 46 years. I know if that's true or not. It's yes and no. It's just a problem. We deal with it. It's not uncommon. That's It wasn't supposed to happen. Thank you very much. I was trying to get over to D minor, and I couldn't do it. I don't think I mean, sometimes I get personal with these situations because I want you to know that you're not the only one feeling some of this. Like, I have a real problem with my fingers running the show a lot, and I think it's normal kind of guitaritis. You know, where you're actually trying to do something and you can't stop your fingers if you want to continue to be musical at that moment. You know, like you'll be trying to get somewhere into a certain key or something, and yet you don't want to stop playing, so you keep going, and pretty soon you're into something else, and you know that you still haven't lost sight of where you originally wanted to go, but damn if you're not going to get there, though, you know? I mean, you just, not in a few minutes anyway. I mean, I just couldn't get B minor to come out there at the end. It's possession? The man is possessed? No, I don't think it's that. It's just, it's kinesthetic, you know? You practice and you watch the news, or you're on the phone, and Aeolian, Dorian, Fractolian, you know, and you're just practicing these things, and your fingers get so used to running, they have their own mind. You know how that is, and it's not good, but it saves my butt in a lot of cases. It's better than stopping. That's my problem there. Let's talk about something else, like contrary motion, or yeah, let's talk about that. Actually, let's wait. I wanted to really talk to you about keys. I started it tonight and got off on this other stuff. So I kind of line up this harmonic rainbow in my mind, and it's got different layers. One layer is an era thing, E-R-A, you know, like when stuff happened. You know, like surprisingly to some, maybe a lot of you notice this, the old sounds, I mean old, like really old stuff, or at least the Hollywood version of it. That stuff is like, you know, still, you know, mega rock, man. I mean, it's the power chords. So those perfect intervals that were so much running the show in the old days for centuries, they're coming back, you know. I mean, in the last 20 years, they've just charged forward, you know, the so-called power chord. A lot of people have trouble with labels. Look, Frank, he's playing jazz. Look, Frank, he's not playing jazz. Who knows? I don't know. How about he's tuning? That's all. He's just tuning. It's a good chord to tune to. We didn't start to play music yet because we don't have any rhythm or any melody, but we have just some color. If we go, it starts to be music because we got motion and a little bit of, you know, nice stuff going on. Chords like this set a mood so that your ear gets hungry for harmony, hungrier than just, okay, let's play in G minor. Notice how we're not excited by this at all, man. I'm not. There's just no preparation. It's like other areas of life. You got to prepare this stuff if you really want to feel it and not have to take a long time. It's different when there's a drummer and a bass player and you're playing with other folks. I play quite a bit with just singers or by myself or things like that. So you got to work it a different way. If you're with a drummer or bass player, they get, you know, in a few seconds, if they're together, man, you're excited, I hope. So, but, you know, one instrument, 6 strings, it could be, you know, a long evening if you got a gig and you got to entertain other folks and yourself. And are we in a key? Well, so far we assume that we are. We hear something. It's the key. It's the key of Keith Richards. No. It kind of has that vibe. I've heard somewhere, it sounds like the beginning of Jumpin' Jack Flash or some tune like that. So tuning chords, yeah, chords that have all perfect intervals are great to tune to. They also just establish a key. They don't establish what kind of key you're in, though, other than that you're not in a key that is going to have a flat 5 instead of a real 5 or something like that. But it's an open book from here. So let's talk about this harmonic rainbow. We've already spoken a little bit about these diatonic major things. I started to talk to you about add 11s. Just because it's a contemporary sound, everybody in the room probably knows what a major 7 chord is, or most everyone. Are they a dead issue? No way. But they're not, you know, the cutting edge of what's happening in a lot of people's choice of what they want to hear, that's all. I never get tired of them, but you either love them or you don't. Are we modulating? Depends on your point of view. I'm still hearing this is the key. But now we're in a Mediterranean influenced or Arabic or Hebraic or Spanish flamenco influenced. Still the same key. What happened to... He's gone because he didn't sound right now. It's tough to bring back a major 7 once you've established a flat 7. It can be really tough. Easy way that people who play Spanish influenced tonalities do it is, I don't know if they're conscious of it or not, but you play a 7 flat 5 chord up a half step or a fifth higher, either way. And it's got that note in there, either hiding, it's in there, or if it's not hiding, that note's back. Instead of, I guess we should talk about gypsy scales for just a moment. They're not codified yet in all the books, you know. It's okay, they're growing. Let's say key of A, you've got A. If you want a standard gypsy scale, in case you don't know this, because I promised myself whether I thought you already got this at school or not, I'd have to assume that maybe you didn't get this particular slant on it, so I would try it with you. If you're wondering why I'm spending so much time talking, I just have to feel like I need to do these things. That's all I can tell you. I won't sleep right if I don't talk about some of these things. That scale just has a lowered second and a lowered sixth to begin with, which is why it sounds non-American, non-Anglo-Saxon. There you go. A scale like that, or a harmony like that, is decidedly American. Something's a little louder. Suddenly you go, you notice that note. I hope you notice it. It's because it's what changes these American scales into something else. It's not the only note, it's this other note. But this note by itself won't do it because, say you're an A, you play an F chord. Those aren't modulations, those are just the expanded diatonic root tones. Fancy words just means the 12-tone tonal key, the American kind of 12-tone key that's music, that's natural to our ear. And the F note's part of the key of A in a large sense. It's just not diatonic to the major scale, that's all. But in a major key, we're definitely going to use F every now and then, or a lot, depending on what kind of harmony you play. If you stick to the old style jazz, you probably only use an F chord as a tritone sub, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, if you're influenced by other things, the F sounds like just a normal part of the key, but in a non-diatonic way. So when you play A to F, it doesn't sound like gypsy scales, gypsy tonality, nothing, man. I mean, none of that stuff. But if you play the B flat, you're starting to get there now. With that major third, and this note is a complement to it. Then you either have a dominant 7 or lowered 7, let's call it, or a major 7. So gypsy dominant, gypsy major, or reverse the words, dominant gypsy or dominant major. I say gypsy because I don't know why. I just say it. It just sounds to me like that kind of culture had a lot of discussion with these tones. Could call them Arabic scales, like I was saying, Spanish scales, whatever you like. When you play that scale and or those sounds, and well, let's take a left turn for just a second. We're coming right back. I'm not going to go off. Those notes. Anybody, a single word, an adjective, what those notes sound like? Blues, thank you very much. They're a blue thing, you know, they're blue sounding. When you hear, especially this inflection between the blue third, which is higher than the minor third, it's a little bit higher. The major third. Blue third is just like the sharp 9 too, real similar. I mean, either way. But anyway, that's a cool little scale. That's a scale that just has a root and a sharp 9 and a third and a fifth and a flat 7. So it's like a blues scale where you kick the fourth down to the third, and you're then thereby using all the notes of a raised 9 chord. An altered dominant chord that we use as a tonic chord, by the way. I'm sure all of you are aware of that, but it is kind of disturbing to rule makers. Ooh. Altered chords are built from the 5, you know. Hey, they ain't always built from the 5, man. It's just a 1 chord. Right now, anyway. So you take that scale, those 5 notes, and just add in those 2 gypsy notes, half step, I didn't make clear before, they're a half step above the root in the 5th. So if we add these 2 notes into that scale, now we have it kind of gives you some of that kind of harmony, that kind of flamenco, semi-flamenco to the purists. I don't blame you. I'm kind of butchering this stuff, but you get the general flavor of it. Then there's a 6-note version of that scale, and both of those scales, the 6-note scale just leaves out the 5th, and both of these latter 2 scales, by the way, I call that one the gypsy blues scale because it's so blue, but then we have those other 2 notes we're adding. Yes? Be glad to. What we have to do is clarify one more little point. If you leave that 5th out, then this thing, we're all going to take a break real soon too. In a few minutes, I won't forget that we need to have an intermission here. Right now, it's wearing that other hat. It doesn't sound like a jazz scale, for instance. At least not to my ears, because of the kind of chords we're hearing. But if somebody's playing right there, when you hear It's almost like the altered dominant scale, but it doesn't have that flat 5. Now that's the 6-note version of it, where you just leave the 5th out. I hear Wes Montgomery, and that was chromatic. This so in a blues, it just depends. Like right there. You'd sneak it right in on that chord. Anytime you have an altered dominant, you can play that 6-note gypsy jazz altered dominant. These words are terrible. It's that thing, you know. That's I sometimes just say gypsy jazz. I just like to be able to say a couple words to describe a scale. We just don't have names yet for some of these scales. It's just, you know, harmonic minor. We all know what that means, which I can't seem to find a use for in jazz. If I'm playing over each chord and want it to sound ultra hip. I know all the books say, learn your harmonic minor. I love them, but they don't sound like jazz because of this. It doesn't sound as hip as, like, you know, Coltrane or Miles or them cats. It just sounds like a guy in Encino playing a harmonic minor. Anyway, we're going to take a little break because I'm perspiring like mad, and this microphone's a little bit intimidating, but we're working with it, trying to work with it, and we'll come back soon and talk about more things and play, and maybe we'll have more questions from you. I love having the questions because I don't know what to talk about up here. There's a lot of stuff that's fascinating to me, but it may not interest you. But if people ask, then at least I'm connecting with one person. So we'll be back soon.